Hi everyone, this is Ali John Chaudhary, psychotherapist, and today I'm here with Fern Schumer Chapman, author. And today's a very special episode. We're already at our 100th episode here for our sibling estrangement videos together on Brothers, Sisters, Strangers video podcast. So I'm so happy to be able to do this because really there's very little information that existed like 5 years ago when it came to sibling estrangement. And really, with a fateful meeting, Fern and I were able to bring a voice to the hidden epidemic that is sibling estrangement. And now people are finding us, joining our community, discovering how to empower themselves more and more. So today we're looking back on our journey towards educating and empowering our viewers and naming some of the episodes that we feel are significant and transformative. So, Fern, it's great to have you here.
Well, it's great to be here on this 100th episode, and I have a really important question for you on this anniversary.
Sure.
First of all, I want to give you a big cyber hug for all that we've accomplished together, but I also have a crucial question, which is that I only see you from your shoulders up, and I would like to know how tall you are.
Actually, I'm 6'2", to
Oh
be
my
honest.
goodness, I'm shocked. I thought you were shorter.
No. I have
Well,
a.
how tall do you think I am?
I'm gonna guess maybe 5'6".
Oh, I'm a lot shorter.
Really?
Yes.
You seem taller too.
Well, okay.
Oh,
I'm glad that we think that of each other.
right.
We've got kind of we've equaled it out.
I guess, right? You thought I was shorter, and I think you're taller. So there we go, right?
Well, one day I hope to see you and actually assess that in person.
Right? Yeah, it'd be great to have a face-to-face meeting together because really you and I have managed to do a lot, I think, in the last 5 years or so. We've changed the landscape, we've changed the conversation on sibling estrangement. Really, there's not that much out there that was happening with this. And you and I, we met and we started talking and we just went with this because we saw that there was a need for this. And
Right.
we brought our own personal experiences into this, which makes it even more powerful for us, right? And our viewers.
And it's interesting because we met during COVID. And the reason I know this is I was researching my book, Brothers, Sisters, Strangers, and there was only one person who was out there really exploring this topic, and that was you.
Yeah.
And I called you for an interview, or I reached out to you, and you kindly agreed to be quoted in the book. And I have been learning from you ever since.
Yes, that was quite the meeting that we had, and I'm really happy that you reached out to me because there's so little information out there. And immediately when we saw each other and we started talking, we hit it off. The chemistry was like we were talking the same language, you and I, right? And it's like we knew each other.
And part of that was because we both had lived this. And it's one thing to study it, it's a whole other thing to have experienced the grief of losing a sibling.
Yeah.
And I think together through the episodes, we've not only helped others, but we've helped each other as
Mhm.
we've navigated this painful landscape.
You're absolutely right, Fern. You and I, we've met each other professionally online, but it's evolved into a friendship now,
Mhm.
right? We're not just colleagues anymore. We're friends. And for me, I mean, you open up about stuff with me, I open up about stuff with you. And really what helps us is to feel as though we're nourishing that bond, right? And it's interesting how that's also helping to fill the gap when it comes to our experiences with sibling estrangement because really we're fostering a chosen family relationship, you and I together.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way, but I think you're right. And it's also fascinating to me that when we started talking about this, and when I wrote the book, Brothers, Sisters, Strangers, the word estrangement was not even in the lexicon. So the
Hmm.
publisher did not want to use that in the subtitle because they said, this is 2021, nobody would know what I was talking about. Of
Wow.
course, things have changed drastically in the last 5 years. And
Hmm.
we are hearing all about not just sibling estrangement, but parental alienation, which is another offshoot of this territory.
You're so right. I think that a lot of times I was just telling people a few years ago that people didn't know what estrangement was and such, whereas now they do. And you and I have been part of that cultural shift to be able to bring this up now and to be transformative in bringing the message home to our viewers and such. And I think that's so, so important because now people understand this. Now people are having conversations about this on the Facebook group. We have the biggest Facebook group, Sibling Estrangement, Sharing, Coping, Connecting, on the topic of sibling estrangement. That's so important for us, and it's still growing strong. We have the support group, especially that's going on that you were part of for a while as well. And there's workshops. You have some workshops you do. You have some consults you do. I do consults on this now, so it's really, really expanded in terms of identifying the needs for people and such, right?
Right. And we get a lot of media attention. I
Mm-hmm.
know you were quoted in the New York Times last year. I've been in a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
major publications in the United States. So it's taken off and also redefined our own lives. Um, and I think there's a lot of relief, they talk about how to resolve and how to address trauma. And the last stage, of course, is helping others. And I
Yes.
think that's exactly why we've done some of this. And I was going to say that while, yes, I have to charge for some of what I do, but for the most part, I do this because it's a passion. And I'm sure you do too, because you know the
Mm-hmm.
pain and you want to help others feel some relief.
Absolutely. And that's what matters most is that I can identify this with others as well, since I've gone through this like you, right? And I was wondering at one point in my life, there must be other people going through this. I can't be the only one going through this,
Hmm.
right? And
Well, I always laugh because every email starts, as I've told you before, I
yeah,
thought I was the only one.
right? That's how this makes us feel. It makes us feel isolated. So for us to come together like this, for us to offer resources, to offer a safe space for people to exchange with, I think that's so, so important, especially, right? And to go further through your consults, my consults as well too. And really there's few people out there that get sibling estrangement that are actually estrangement informed. And I think there's still a lot of work to be done when it comes to this type of work, especially in identifying this, even amongst the therapist circles as well.
Well, one of the things that I am doing, and I mentioned this to you the last time we spoke, is I am working with an artist, and she and I have created coping with family alienation.com. And this is an organization that's
Hmm.
going to present workshops on topics in estrangement and use the creative arts to heal. So we will be using writing and collaging as opportunities to process the grief. So anyway, that's kind of my next
Mm.
level of offerings. But it gives you a sense of how far we've come and how this continues to grow in new ways.
It's so amazing that people are finding us. And I think it's so, so important that our viewers also see, again, I think what it is that we're doing, how it is that we're responding to this need, and maybe a good way for our viewers also to experience further knowledge and perhaps more of a sense of understanding on this is maybe talking about some of our episodes that we liked ourselves, especially, right?
That would be great.
Yeah.
I have a few in the top 10.
I'm certain that you do, and I have a few myself also that stand out, especially. And maybe we can
Hey,
talk about one of them. One of your favorite episodes, Fern?
well, I write a blog for psychologytoday.com, and I came to you a month or two ago and said, I really think we should an episode on fawning and sibling estrangement. And the reason I thought it would be appropriate is that that particular blog post received over 300,000 views. So I knew there
Wow.
was a lot of interest in it. It's really an important behavioral pattern that's frequently overlooked. But it's really important in reflecting on our own relational dynamics in the present
Yeah.
because, as we've talked about in other episodes, how you responded in childhood, what were your survival mechanisms, often
Hmm.
play out again in adulthood. So, fawning and sibling estrangement would be number one.
Yep. That's a good one. One of them that I enjoy, and I really like the fawning one too, actually. That was especially powerful and poignant episode. One of them that I enjoyed also was avoidant attachment styles and sibling estrangement. And I really like this one because dismissive avoidance and fearful avoidant personalities are increasingly coming into vogue. We hear more about this, right? Especially in say, romantic relationships or and such, and when people have breakups. But this was a personal favorite of mine because this type of knowledge can also be transferred into sibling estrangement and such. And we see a lot of times some siblings that carry the weight of the sibling relationship, right? And they never quite understand why the other sibling pulls away and such. And really talking about that was my attempt and our attempt to be able to shed some understanding on this as to what it is that is happening in terms of attachment that can cause some people to pull back all of a sudden, some siblings and such, when everything's looking okay as far as you can tell.
Yeah, to survive the modern world, you have to have a PhD in attachment.
Especially
Um,
important to understand the dynamics, yes.
Um, so I would say another one of my favorites was what does a healthy sibling relationship look like? And the reason I like this one is because when you're raised in a chaotic home, you assume that that's normal and acceptable. And it can sometimes take decades to finally see that this was a really dysfunctional place.
Yeah,
And so a lot of our viewers, I think, wonder, well, then what should I expect? What can I expect in a healthy sibling relationship? And I'm really hoping that that particular episode helps some of the viewers to correct course.
absolutely. And that's a great episode there too, right? Because a lot of times we talk about what goes wrong in sibling relationships, right? But what does that look like? What does a healthy a relationship look like and such, right? That's such a great question, and I'm glad that we did approach that as well because it gives our viewers the attempt to be able to understand that and see what is the ideal, what is it they could aim for and such, right? And the comparison and such. So that way, if it is going in a good direction, then good. You want it to keep going in a good direction, right?
Right.
Yeah. So an episode that I liked, especially that I enjoyed, was the maladaptive anger versus empowering anger with sibling estrangement. Now that one I think is needs to be seen more and such because I really found that this episode was very powerful in distinguishing the differences from the two important angers that we can experience. And there is one of those angers that is the maladaptive one that really eats us up inside and causes chaos. It overspills in other areas of our lives and such, right? And we've met people that are at the mercy of this type of anger, especially our siblings can be. The second one is the one that's indignant, and that makes that we won't stand for how we're treated or characterized. It's an altogether different type of anger that can be channeled in a creative and empowering way. And I really think our viewers need to learn the distinction between the two because I see some people that are sometimes stuck in that first version of the anger. And it's important that you don't let that type of anger become your overriding factor for everything else. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think another favorite is post-traumatic growth. And I'm going to say something I think I've said to you 100 times. You'd
Mm-hmm.
never wish this on anybody. This is not the path you envisioned for yourself. However, when you are immersed in estrangement, you have to dig deep
Yeah.
and see who you are and find your strengths and discover
Mm-hmm.
how you can tolerate and grow through this situation. And that is post-traumatic growth. And so I like to reflect every so often on what it's actually done for me, even
Mm-hmm.
though I wouldn't want to have lived through it. I think it made me who I am today.
Absolutely. And I mean, look at what you've done with it, right? In that sense, that's really you channeling that in a healthy direction, right? I mean, you've written the book on sibling estrangement, you've written the workbook and such. I mean, it's really helped to bring that light out to the public and such,
Right.
right? And you're doing it in such a way that I've even mentioned it in the book that I know of no other resource that goes as deeply into this than your book.
Yeah.
So it's really powerful when you have this and you're able to channel this through post traumatic growth. That's exactly what you did and such. You made the best of it, right?
Well, I have told you before, Ollie John, I've experienced estrangement every which way.
Yeah,
So I had to learn how to tolerate this. And it's never easy, but you can't lose yourself.
absolutely. It's so, so important, right? That we step out of it and objectify this. And I'm glad that you approached me on this subject and I was able to contribute to your book, especially to bring some of that knowledge so that, of course, the viewers and the readers could have access to that. So, so, so
Oh,
important.
and I continue to use you as a resource.
I really appreciate that. Yes. I'm glad that we can talk, of course, in our free time together and to be able to bounce ideas off of each other, especially, right? So, another video that I enjoy that I think is important for our viewers is biases and sibling estrangement. Now, this was a two-parter, and I really think that this episode is important because it helped to define what types of bias play out in sibling interactions, right? And there's the halo horns effect, negativity bias, confirmation bias, and such. So there's a whole bunch of different biases that we could name, but I'd rather our viewers go and listen to that video to learn more about it because I really think this particular episode was helpful and it really helps to define the defenses that come up with sibling estrangement. And really, if we're not careful, we could be subject to and actively react to, or worse, even adopt some of this in our own interactions with a difficult or dysfunctional sibling if we're not careful.
Yeah. Yes, you have to stay with yourself.
Yep. So it's also important. So, and I know there's another one that I wanted to mention here, especially because I think it's a powerful episode and it's been getting some views, but I think it also needs more attention because of the topic that I think is universal or almost universal for a lot of us, and that's parental favoritism and sibling estrangement, right? I think it's really important that we talk about this particular video because it underscores how certain parents can be slanted in favor of one child over the other. And this is one of the building blocks to sibling estrangement that can morph into resentment once we become adults, right? I really think that it's an important one to mention here because really, if we're not careful, we can seek out external validation or acknowledgement on the part of a parent for the better part of our lives rather than seeing it innately within ourselves.
It's one of the biggest risk factors for estrangement. And we have throughout the years identified many of the risk factors,
Yeah.
but that one actually is getting more and more attention. I have this sitting on my desk. It says, yes, parents play favorites. It's in the Chicago Tribune.
There you go. There you go,
So,
right? So
yeah.
I'm glad it's finally coming out because it's true. It happens. It's a thing. And our feelings are not wrong as children if we're feeling this early on. We may not have the vocabulary to put the words to it, but kids know, right, when this stuff happens and such. And as you
Yeah.
grow up, you get to see it and you get to understand it more.
Yeah, I remember in the book, I did some research and there was somebody who did a study and found out that 2 and 3-year-olds can identify favoritism.
Hmm. Yep, that's very true. So that's really, really important to recognize that and such. So I really invite our viewers to look at this one on parental favoritism and sibling estrangement. So this is a great episode. I'm really happy we can get together like this and just chat in an informal type of way, you and I, because we really did something wonderful, I think, in the last 5 years or so, you and I, and we're really building on this, and we're still building on it and such. We're the thought leaders on this subject, you and I especially, and we're able to, of course, help our viewers understand more and be able to empower themselves more. And I think that one of the things I like about our approach is that it's never about trash talking our sibling, right? And you might see this in other communities or other groups that tend to do this, and I'm very careful not to do this. we can have anger, we can experience this, but we won't be belittle, demean, or be condescending towards our estranged siblings, because it's not really about that. It's about understanding what it is, what it does to us, and what we do from here on forth as we go through this and such, right?
Well, here's to another 100 episodes. I'm sure we will have much more to talk about when we reflect in what, another 5 years?
Yeah, well, we'll certainly, of course, identify the milestones as they come along. And we are already in the process of continuing this and to continue to foster this mission that we have in empowering people in our communities that go through this silent epidemic. So I'm very happy to do this again with you, Fern.
And I do think we should mention at this point that you have now moved all of the episodes to audio on some of an audio podcast so that you can get on Spotify or Apple.
That's right.
And so it's much more accessible to those who are walking and driving.
That's right. At this point right now, for today, I've got half of them up, and maybe as people listen to them by the time they hear this video, they might all be up. I'm going to be putting them all up very soon. So, yes, I'm very happy that we're going beyond the initial medium that we used. We are on YouTube. We are on the major audio podcast sites and such, so people can listen to us conveniently in their cars, or if they're walking or just going in public transportation, whatever it is that you like, or if you're in your own personal space, you want to hear more about it but not watch videos, you can do that now. That's the beauty of this, and I'm really glad that the message is getting out and such. And we're building from here, and we're continuing to empower people. And my hope and dream is that more people find us, and that more people can, of course, feel that sense of empowerment and understanding that we've been creating from day one, that is still happening right now. So I'm so glad to do this with you, Fern. You're such a great person to get to know. You've got such a rich life experience and such, and it really helps to have voices like you be out there talking about sibling estrangement.
Well, thank you. And of course, I deeply value your expertise.
I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very happy to offer my help on all the nuanced understandings that do come up with sibling estrangement and such. So, Fern, let's talk about resources before we let each other go for now. Let's talk about what is the number one resource you have that you'd like for our viewers to know about.
Well, I did mention it earlier and I'll say it again.
Mhm.
Copingwithfamilyalienation.com is the place where there will be more workshops for healing through art.
Yep, very important to be able to use that if you are creatively inclined and if you want to discover that. That's very, very important, of course. My number one resource is the Sibling Estrangement Support Group, but also the workshops that I do. I'm actually offering Getting Beyond Rumination, a tool for change, which helps people, of course, to get beyond that point where they get stuck on rumination. So that's a very powerful and cutting edge strategy that I'm sharing that can be helpful for our viewers. I'm also having navigating the stages of grief workshop and such. So I do invite my viewers to look at this as well with me, so that they can join if they'd like to have the roadmap to navigate this special type of grief. And I want to mention that this is the first roadmap that was ever created on sibling estrangement that is especially important for us to dive deep and look into to continue the process of empowerment and in recognizing just where we're at in our journey and such. So again, as I mentioned, the support group is another place that people can have access to if they'd like to have further resources to be able to meet in real time and to break isolation and empower themselves further on a bi-weekly basis. So there's going to be more resources, I think, as we move along, as we continue, Fern, you and I, discovering the needs of our community and continuing to offer our help, especially so that people can ultimately empower themselves. So here's to another 100 episodes, right?
I'm for that.
Yes, and I forgot to mention in the beginning, but I will wish you a happy new year, by the way. I'm very happy that we get to start up again on a brand new, fresh foot together.
Yes, Happy New Year and looking forward to lots more education and understanding through our conversations.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad to be able to do this with you again. So I look
Good.
forward to more episodes. So you take care, Fern.
Okay, bye now.
Bye bye.